got the Rivian into kind of a bad situation yesterday.
Uh-oh.
I backed the trailer down to get some of the stuff we were moving out of the basement. Backed it down this really steep hill that like is kind of canted to one side. And I've done it in the truck before and it was fine. And I've done it in the GX before and it was fine. And it was really rainy and really muddy. And I was advised that it's really rainy and really muddy and probably not a good day to do it. And I was like, yeah, it'll probably be fine. Anyway,
I got a Rivian.
yeah.
Maybe you haven't seen my Rivian.
The car is easily worth 4 times as much money as the combined other 2 vehicles that I just mentioned. But does not have the tires, I'll tell you. Does not have much in the way of tires. And got it.
Tires are key.
Yeah, about halfway up the hill, and it just kept sliding down sideways towards this like massive tree. So I kept having to like very carefully extract it, and then finally like put down enough gravel and stone to get some bite on the tires, and got it back up the hill, but just absolutely shredded the hill that was built last year. Covered in clover that will not be blooming this year.
Whoops.
Absolutely fucked. Yeah.
Oh, well.
But the good thing is like I said, I was advised not to do that. So explicitly.
Yeah.
So.
Who was your advisor? In that,
yeah, you can probably guess.
Yeah.
Somebody that lives with you.
The same person it always is.
She's pretty sharp. Sharp lady.
Yeah.
Pretty embarrassing. But I'm not going to buy tires for it. It's a lease. It's like it's going back.
Right.
I'm not going to spend $2,500 or whatever on a set of tires for a car that does not belong to me. Unfortunately, right before the Jalopnik thing wound down, I got a guy, friend of the pod, offered me a set of free tires, and another guy offered me a set of half-off wheels, and I was like, it's kind of. I'm not gonna be able to write about them, so it's kind of unethical.
For the Rivian.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
Yeah,
Oops.
I saw a speaking of tires and their importance. I saw a interesting thing on YouTube yesterday or the day before. That guy. What's the guy's name? The guy that does like the engineering, so like engineering explained. That
Jason.
guy. Yeah. He did a thing where they took like a late model I want to say M3. Maybe it was just like a 3 Series BMW,
3 Series.
but and like a PT Cruiser that I think like they, it was like basically like a junkyard PT Cruiser with a diesel and a manual transmission. And they threw a set of what was it? What tire company was it? It was like
Continental. Looks like
Continental. Yeah. It was. I was gonna say Bridgestone, but no, it was Continental. They didn't even put like the performance tires on it. They put like these kind of like, just like really good, but like they're kind of like their highest wear tire or lowest wear tire. The tires that are rated to last the longest, right? So they're not a performance tire. They put those on the PT Cruiser, and then they put a set of just like super cheap but nominally like performance summer tires, but like total like bargain basement ones on the BMW, and then they took them onto a test track, which I don't know if it's a continental test track or, but it was a track that was flooded, so it was like uniformly wet, and they ran laps, and sure enough, the PT Cruiser on the Continental tires was faster than the BMW in a number of situations. Like they did a wet track thing, they did a wet braking test, and then like a dry braking test, and just to like illustrate the just that like tires are basically like the number one most important, like you don't have any performance without tires, right? Everything depends on the tires. And his point was that like this is more important than any other go fast modification that you can make to your car, and which is just I mean, if you stop to think about it for 30 seconds, it's just common sense. But it was a pretty dramatic illustration of that in practice. Pretty funny.
Yeah, I like that guy. He's a good dude. Yeah. Did you guys see the big news about my advice about the Cybertruck thing?
Yeah, what's the news?
The Attorney General of the United States was online, her own little video today, explaining that she was going to charge a 24-year-old in Colorado who tried to firebomb a Tesla dealership.
Who took your advice?
Well, no, I did not say to do that. I may have said there's nothing morally wrong with doing that.
I think we all agree.
It's apparently you can get 20 years in prison for doing that, for doing property damage to a Tesla dealership.
They can seek it. And like that feels
terrorism.
It's like psychological warfare on people who are like anti-Tesla to say that, because like that has to go through like a jury, and like the judge has to like kind of go through sentencing is fair, blah blah blah. But like announcing it publicly as we can say that we would like to go to the court and ask for 20 years, like that's intimidation tactics. And listen, that's effective. People don't want to be in limbo trying to figure out if they're going to jail for 20 years for sticking, I don't know, gum to a Tesla after 3 more weeks of this.
20 years in prison, I would be 62 when I got out. That's not too bad. I'd probably get in phenomenal shape. Get a lot of reading and writing done. Doesn't sound that bad.
I mean, there's
I'm
probably
sure there are
worse places. I mean, it seems like now would be a good time to go to prison.
Unless
because you would just miss out on
unless they send you to El Salvador.
I think I would be great in El Salvador. I think those guys would like me.
The thing with the Salvadoran prison thing, it's just it's terrible, right? But it's I think there is a part of it that is funny to me, and that is that that guy Nayib Bukele, who's just like complete fucking dipshit, and his whole thing has been like he wants to be the young, good-looking kind of I'm the handsome fascist, right? Mm-hmm. But he really has been working hard to kind of like he wants to make the image of El Salvador. He wants it to be like sleek and sophisticated and sexy, you know, instead of just being like this kind of, I mean, to the extent that anybody even knows that El Salvador exists, you know, whatever they think of it is basically just like, yeah, that's where the MS-13 comes from, you know. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean, in El Salvador, and for listeners who don't know, my wife is from El Salvador, and I've been down there a few times, and so I've I've experienced life under the Bukele regime, and everybody loves him because he's just, you know, he's locked up all the gang people along with lots of other people, and most of them political dissidents, but I just think, and so like the whole thing, like there's this whole kind of like Surf City thing that, you know, and he wanted to make it like the Bitcoin Mecca, which that experiment is over because because the IMF like he just had to give up on that because the IMF wasn't gonna like give him like, you know, $700 million or whatever it was. They said, yeah, no, you gotta, you know, we're not going to give you this money if crypto is legal tender in your country. Yeah. It's like, so he quietly turned that off. But yeah, I mean, there's like this whole thing to just kind of like turn it into like a, you know, a surfing destination. And like they hosted like the, you know, Miss Universe or whatever, you know, one of those big international beauty pageants last year. And that was like this, you know, there it was a big deal. And because it, you know, it was seen as like this thing to kind of like, you know, yeah, it's like we're putting El Salvador on the international stage, you know, it's glamorous and cool. And it's like, and all of that stuff, which like, I mean, you could point to and kind of say, well, it's like, well, okay, yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, there are, I mean, the you know, last year when I was there, I mean, there were definitely more U.S. tourists than I had ever seen there ever before by like a fucking mile. And it was mostly people there to, you know, go to the beach and enjoy, you know, the natural wonders of the country. But, yeah. But no, having said all that, like the thing that's so funny about it is like, dude, do you not understand that by opening your fucking, by, you know, going to Trump, just saying, yeah, but buddy, you know, hey chum, send us, you know, we'll take whatever overflow you got. I've got this huge, you know, fucking thing. It's like all you're doing, like now for anybody in the US, like whatever part of the political spectrum they're on, when they hear El Salvador, all they're gonna think is just fucking is Guantanamo. You know, it's just like, oh yeah, that's the place where we just like dump all of our unwanted people. You know, we just send them in a plane and send them to the prison in El Salvador,
Black where there's 2, you know, the sequel to Black
yeah,
Sites.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's like, congratulations, man, great move.
Man, what a funny looking guy, Bukele. His like picture on the Wikipedia article.
It's so depressing. It's so depressing because the first time that I went down there, it was in 2009, and it was right after this huge historic election that was won by the FMLN candidate. The FMLN were the Revolutionary Army during the Civil War, you know, in the 70s and 80s, and as part of the kind of truce agreement, they agreed to lay down their arms in exchange for being recognized as a legitimate political party, whereas before you know, they were just illegal. And it took them 20 years. I mean, they, you know, they were still under right wing, you know, under the rule of the same oppressive right wing party that they had been during the Civil War, through the 90s and aughts. But in 2009, they actually they took the presidency, and it was this incredibly, I mean, this was like, kind of like a year after Obama had been elected in the U.S., and it was like, we all thought that was like a big deal, right? And I just remember thinking at the time, it's like, oh no, that's like, this is a fucking big deal, and you could just see evidence of it everywhere, and it was really dramatic and moving to see like the amount of like FMLN stuff, just trinkets, or just graffiti, just, it was like there was this real sense of like hope and change, and as it turns out, they did some good stuff, and but they couldn't quite overcome the the inertia of like decades of just impoverishment and crime and gangs and everything else, and it's like, and now it's like to have that replaced by this guy who's just like the just complete, I mean, who just epitomizes like the world historical moment in so many just completely depressing ways. Yeah, it's a real fucking bummer.
Everybody gets to have a joke president now, Peter.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, they got a big one. They got a good one. I mean, like that's the thing, is like he really is like on the same level as like a Malay or a Trump, know? I mean, it
just a silly boy.
A real shithead.
The one thing that I will say, though, I mean, just, for people who are interested in hearing us talk about cars, you should still consider El Salvador as a vacation destination, despite everything that I just said, purely because of the car spotting there. If you're into 60s, 70s, 80s Japanese stuff that has been modded in some of the, just most fucking awesomely resourceful and just completely fucking radical ways, it is nirvana. I mean,
yeah, some of the pictures you post from there are real good.
Big fan of guys just awesome. Welding on the street. Huge fan of just like out there just welding on the sidewalk.
I mean, it's awesome. The thing is, everybody knows and has for years about cars in Cuba. You go to Cuba and it's all American cars from the, from pre-revolution Cuba. It's all like, 50s American iron that has then been kept on the road through just, just the ingenuity of and resourcefulness of those car owners. And I've never been to Cuba. Man, that would be a field trip. But yeah, El Salvador is very, very much the same thing, except with like 70s Japanese stuff. But these cars, and and some of them are enthusiast owned, in the sense that like the people that are driving them are like pretty into them, and make all kinds of like, they'll put like cool fender flares or spoilers on them or whatever. But lots of them are just just daily drivers. But the thing that I've seen there, and other parts of Latin America to a lesser extent, but that's really amazing, is just like mixing and matching, like you'll see like like a 70s Corolla that somebody has just like grafted like an 80s Nissan like nose onto, like grill or something. It's like the whole front end of the car is like, disintegrated or was lost in an accident or whatever. And so they'll just take something from a completely different manufacturer and just like graft it on. And so you get these like really wonderfully kind of Frankenstein cars where you kind of have to like, it's a fun
take 4 or 5
brain.
looks. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, yeah, for me, it's just like a fun brain teaser just to kind of try to piece it out. Like, okay, which parts are from what, because the context is so kind of stripped away. But yeah,
my cousin
stuff.
And his wife do a fishing trip with one of the guys up here to Cuba every year, and every year they're like, you should go to Cuba, and I'm always like, yeah, I should, but I don't, and now I probably can't go to Cuba until I have some form of income to pay for it, but I'd like to do it. They have a good time fishing down there, I guess, and it's like super underfished. It's like one of the only places in the Caribbean that's like the fish aren't super spooky. But yeah.
Did you see that apparently, there were a bunch of kind of protest demonstrations over the weekend that it seemed like it kind of got to Elon a little bit. He was he crying
Tim Walz again? Did you see the Tim Walz interview?
No.
Oh my God.
We gotta pull that quote. We gotta pull that quote. Yeah,
we should.
What
we should do the audio because it's not that long.
Oh yeah, throw me.
Oh no. That I did see. I didn't realize what that was.
So funny.
Yeah, but I saw a thing today, just like basically that where he's posting about how like all the people that are going to these anti-Tesla demonstrations outside of dealerships are like being paid by.
So funny.
It's like, bro.
Last refuge of the dipshit. Yeah.
He's saying it on stage at a rally where he's paying people $1 million to vote for his judge of choice.
I know. It's exactly. Of course he is.
He says, I mean, you have Tim Walz, who's a huge jerk, running on stage with the Tesla stock price. What an evil thing to do. What a creep. What a jerk. Who derives joy from that? And big tears in his eyes. But it's so funny, too, because like people were obviously responding to him with,
Chainsaw
like empathy.
JPEG.
Yeah, or like empathy is a weakness or whatever, like a week ago, like about people losing their jobs or whatever, and it's like only the strong survive. It's like, I mean, you have Tim Walz,
God,
who was a huge jerk.
So funny.
Yeah. I
think, Peter, your theory, which I think has remained unspoken, or your prediction, which has remained unspoken, on the pod.
As the likely outcome, the most likely outcome. Not spelled out in specific terms, but implied. I agree. It could happen.
Oh, I see that he
Yeah.
takes matters into his own hands.
He could low tax.
Ends his life.
The federal government doesn't know who low tax is. They don't know what I mean when I say he could still low tax, baby.
Yeah. He could live and die by his own terms.
Mm-hmm.
In other Elon news, there was the thing where his daughter was apparently mocking his gaming.
Went on Hassan's stream and was like, he's dog shit at all games. He sucks. He sucks shit. He sucks shit so bad. Just like, oh yes, thank you, Vivian. Thank you. Confirming what we all know. He's not a real gamer.
Yeah.
Which I mean, and for me, I mean, when I saw that, I don't know why it took me until now. I mean, I put this in the chat, but the fact that like that, I mean, it has long been known that Donald Trump is like a notorious golf cheat, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he loves fucking golf, and he just, that's just his MO is he just fucking cheats, right? And how funny that he would find this guy to be bros with who cheats at video games. And the thing that's funny about it is that, like, I mean, there are sports like in which like cheating is part of it, you know? I mean, like, you know, in baseball, right? Or in racing, you know? I mean, cheating, there's a culture of cheat. And I mean, these are
if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. That's what they say.
Exactly. I mean, that's
racing.
yeah. And the thing is, and in both of those cases, baseball and racing, I mean, it is the kind of thing where there are so many variables going on that you can cheat, you can even successfully cheat, and it still might not work. You know, it's like the advantage that you're gaining, it might be in vain. But in the case of both golf and video games, like it's kind of the precise opposite. It's where the entire point, like to cheat in either one of those arenas, it not just violates the spirit of it, but it violates it's like, well, why even fucking bother?
Yeah.
Right. It's a recreational activity that you do for fun. If you're a pro golfer and there's money on the line,
right,
that's one thing.
I guess
but if you're just out with your friends cheating at golf, you're just like, you're an idiot. Like that's not, you know what I mean? Like if you're like,
right,
there's just no, you don't gain anything.
To be clear about his video game cheating, also, he is not doing anything clever or exploiting any kind of, loophole. He is literally paying other people to play that he's paying to win.
Play.
He's not even exploiting tech. He's not speedrunning this shit. My man is not my man is not doing like the Lakuki V3 in Mario and getting his half A press or whatever. He is out there like, I'm gonna pay someone to level my character for me because I don't want to. Like, pathetic.
It is interesting because it's like every time you hear something about Elon and like how he is so busy and like how he spends his time, it turns out like that it's very easily refuted and he's not doing it. And it's like, what is he doing actually? And it's like, okay, he's not playing video games. He is not working at his companies. He guess he's on Twitter a ton, but like other than that, what else is he doing?
Trying to bribe women with horses.
Yeah, that's true.
Harassing women, posting, crying.
Yeah, crying on television, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like I could do a pretty good job crying on TV, like from 9 to noon, and then just have the rest of the day to fuck around. I guess.
Oh.
But that was me.
Just in your calendar. One and done. Knock it out.
I do have another just kind of brief observational anecdotal topic that might be
what you got?
Fun. Oh, and also this happened right before the last episode, I mean, it was like literally like days after we had recorded the episode about getting pulled over.
Yeah.
And I had boasted about not having been ticketed since 2008. My wife took a day off the other day, and just mental health day. Kids are driving her crazy. And so we went out for a drive, go out and take a drive in the countryside, and get down to this town called Avon, and it's just like a kind of drizzly, cloudy day, but it's nice, and it's like pull onto this we've just been on this kind of country road for a while, hit the town, and make a right turn onto like this kind of like a 4-lane thing, like through it's like a 4-lane highway through this part of the town. And I didn't see any speed limit signs, whatever. I just kind of like, I didn't like go crazy, but I just like sped up to like, I don't know, 40 or 50 or something. And then I see in my rearview mirror like this, like a cop just like, doing a
teleport out.
Like, fuck, god damn it, man. And sure enough, and I like, I go to turn onto like another kind of just continue on the highway, but he follows me on there, and sure enough, lights me up, pulls me over, and the thing is, like, I didn't see a speed limit sign when I turned onto that road, but I saw one after I saw him, and it was like 30 or 35, and I was just like, fuck. And pull over. I'm just like, god fucking damn it, man. It's like I was just I completely jinxed myself by even talking about it. And dude comes up, and like we were talking about, like, I mean, he looked about 16 and had kind of like a funny, like, slight speech impediment that just kind of like but he was just like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I just said something like, was I going a little bit faster than 35 or whatever it was? He's like, yeah, I got you at like 50 or something. I was like, oh man, I'm really sorry. And so that, license, registration, takes back the car, whatever. And I'm just like, shit, man. And Patricia is just like, oh, amor, I'm so sorry. Like, we should have just stayed home. We should have stayed home. You were no,
sweet Patricia.
Whatever. And and so, but dude comes back to the car and he gave me a warning. Just said, just like courtesy of whatever county we're in. We'll just, this is not a, no points, no anything. Just get filed away. And I said, dude, thank you, man. I appreciate that. And then he drove away, and I fucking put it in N mode.
It is delightful. The N mode is fun. I do love that they put in a button that's just like, just wag your dick around. Just get out there. Just have fun.
Set my instrument panel on fire. And
so good.
So that was funny. Now the other thing that I wanted to talk about was I've been seeing some new cars on the road. I don't know if you guys have had these in your areas, but just thought it was interesting that like these and I didn't even like realize it until I thought of it in the context. It's like, put it all together. It's like, these are all EVs that I've been noticing. The first is the Volkswagen. I've seen a few of the Buzz. What's it called? ID Buzz?
Yeah.
ID.Buzz.
Yeah.
It's like, that's a weird car name convention. I don't really get it. But I guess I get Buzz because it's like a bus, but it's electric. So that part I like. Seen a few of those around, and they look good. I did see a story on it basically like on Inside EVs from last month that apparently, like, because the knock on those cars is that they're kind of crazy expensive for what they are, and apparently the dealers are already like knocking like 5 figures off of that sticker. like $10,000 and $15,000 discounts. I don't know if that's inclusive of the. I mean, that might just be like towards the lease. Yeah, inclusive of the $7,500 discount that you still get for now. I don't know. Is that on the chopping block? It must be, right?
Let me see. I think it's done.
Yeah. And I did see a funny thing. I was just curious to see what was going on with those cars and just anecdotally.
Oh wait, no, that is still eligible. I'm sorry. That credit, the $7,500 is still yeah.
That's good.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I mean, it's still eligible for now, but I mean, that just seems like
taking
something
time
they'll
off.
take away. I would have to imagine.
Yeah, that's not, it's not long for this world. But this is just an anecdotal thing from Reddit. Guy saying, I work next to a VW dealer. They got a few right off the bat. Not a single one has sold. They look so cool. As someone who always liked the old bus, but the range sucks. Price is crazy high for what you get. I know EVs are expensive comparatively, but I can get a lightly used R1S Rivian for the same money and have 3 times the range and just as much space. That's the other thing with those cars. Apparently, like it's like 200 miles of range.
Come on, man.
For that Volkswagen.
It's 2025.
So yeah, I mean they're selling, but
it's a tough time to sell any EVs. I would be very surprised if there are any EVs available that don't have substantial rebates or like price knocked off. I can't think of one that's like consistently selling at full price.
Yeah. I did see a Dodge Charger the other day. Have you guys seen any of those?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, that was the first one. I mean, it looked good. I thought it's like good looking car.
They're restarting V8 production. I don't know if you heard that.
Well, that exactly. Yeah. I mean, the Hemi's coming back, baby.
Yeah.
it's like after all of that time, just like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. You know, it's just like, you guys, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
But
I mean,
go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, just the fact that they built that car with like that it's possible to put a V8 back in it was like, you knew the second it was feasible they were going for it. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yeah.
There's a guy with his finger hovering over the V8 button at the factory, just waiting for the opportunity.
Yeah. And what's going to happen with those inline the Turbo 6,
the Hurricane
thing?
Yeah, I think that's probably over too. No, I mean they'll keep making them.
Yeah. I mean, it's cool that it's an inline 6.
Yeah, I was excited about it when that came out. I mean, like that's a fun configuration and like a really cool idea to build a big turbo straight 6, like the twin turbo straight 6. It's cool, but like I said, we'll see the Hemi's back shortly, I'm sure.
Yeah. But here is the other thing that I've been noticing, which is and this has kind of been like one of those things where you start seeing it for a while before you like realize like, wow, man, I feel like I'm seeing a lot of these fucking cars, like all of a sudden. And tell me if you guys have noticed the same thing, but around here, those Chevy Equinox EVs are fucking everywhere.
Have seen a couple.
And as well as its sibling under the skin, the Honda Prologue.
Not seen those.
I mean, I like to the extent where like I would have to, like, at least locally around here, around Rochester, New York, I would say that these cars are like big fucking hits, because I see tons of them like every day. And I went and looked it up, and just to like, is this just me, or is this, what's going on? And apparently I found a story on Electric Trek from a few days ago, touting that Chevy is the fastest growing EV brand in the U.S. right now.
There you
go. Apparently sales, Chevy EV sales in last quarter of 2024 were up 50%, led by the Equinox, which was up 85% from the previous quarter. Chevy is claiming it is the most affordable 315 plus miles range EV, which is one of those just kind of amusingly specific boasts. Yeah. It's like
under 300. Yeah. Under 300K, over 4,000 pounds, with a wheel diameter of 17 inches plus.
Yeah,
very
right.
Specific.
Exactly. But that car actually starts at $35,000. And with the tax credit, that brings it, that's like a safely sub $30,000 car. And it's like you can get like $299 a month leases. They're also doing 0% financing on them. So obviously, like, there's deals, but it seems like people are taking them up on it, and those cars, like, they look pretty good, like it's very smart, put together, appearing car, and from some stuff that I've seen of just people reviewing them or whatever, it's like, it seems just to like to do like, I guess it's kind of in the same way that like that the GM Volt and Bolt stuff did, like it's like, yeah, this is an EV, but it's not like it's also a normal functional car. It's like the EV shit is not getting in the way of just it's not annoying in a gimmicky way. It's just like and people talk about it. It's just like, yeah, there's nothing like amazing about this car, but that's kind of the best part of it. It's just like, it's just a really competent just get around machine.
It's not as cute as that Spark I saw today, but it's not so bad. I tell you what, I saw that Chevy Spark, I was like, who is this little guy? I love him. And I got close and I was like, cool. That's pretty good. Those things are perfect. I just want to, like, I should be able to seize power in Philadelphia and make everyone swap their car for one of those right now, today.
There should be more baby cars. Just little guys.
Little guys.
Every time, Maddie, that you've fallen in love with a General Motors product, it's been the product of an Asian automaker in disguise.
That's right.
Last one was the Pontiac Vibe, and you're like, oh, that's such a cool little car. And I was like, yeah, it's a Corolla. And then
what is the Spark? What is the Spark?
Spark is the Daewoo Matiz.
Ooh, the Daewoo. Let's go. Yeah. My power is growing. Yeah. My sneaky senses.
It's a wonderful little car.
Great.
I did really like it.
I'm not prejudiced against a seemingly like U.S. auto manufacturer badge being on it. I was like, that's super cute. I just find out later. I'm like, once again, my spidey sense.
Your taste betrayed you. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, as it always does. That's fine.
Yeah.
No, these seem pretty good. No, I wish I was seeing stuff like this every time I drove like more than half an hour out of my way within the state of New Jersey. I saw like 6 distinct Cybertrucks. I know, because I would check the plate and be like, that's not one I've seen yet today. They'd be all different colors, everywhere. Sucked. No more. Never again.
They're cool.
Yeah. Good little cars.
But just to go back, well, speaking of captive imports and GM taking Japanese stuff and putting Chevy badges on it. Kind of interesting reversal of that phenomenon with the Honda Prologue, which is just a Chevy Equinox EV dressed up as a Honda. And but I mean, apparently, like, all the better for it, and those they're a bit more expensive than the equivalent Chevy, but
the Honda, that's actually the Blazer EV. So that's the Lyriq Blazer ZDX is the Prologue. And that was the.
Is that a different aren't they all the same? Isn't it all like the same, like, what is it, the Ultium platform or something?
Let's see.
I think the Equinox and the you might be right, actually.
Yeah, the Equinox was the one that came out or not the Equinox.
Because the Equinox is a little bit smaller. The Prologue is like
the Blazer is the one that came out and everybody was really mad at, and it like had a bunch of like high profile failures.
Okay.
And then the Equinox is like the redemption story.
Yeah.
Everyone really seems to like that one. But I think they all are on technically the same platform. They're all, right. GM Bev3 platform. So technically, the same platform. But, the Prologue is the Blazer.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, that car, they sold 33,000 of them last year. And despite it came out, like, it rolled out, in the middle of the year. So, it outsold the Passport, in the U.S., which is interesting.
It's also like hard to like all these are they're so cheap. You know what I mean? Like the deals on them are so fantastic. So it's like, like anytime you see like a spike in EV sales, you have to look at the circumstances, and usually it's like, it's $10,000 off or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, but still good to see.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it does. I mean, it does point to people maybe being more willing to adopt the EV lifestyle. That
was one of the big. It was always one of the big roadblocks for people. Is just the cost, the initial cost. It's like, if people are
and also another part of the Honda Prologue thing is I think Honda, like, when you buy one of those, like, they're throwing money in to like, they'll help you, like, they'll put money toward like a charger installation in your house. That kind of stuff, which, that's tempting. But yeah, I mean, I've been seeing a ton of both of those cars around here, and just thought it was kind of cool and interesting. I also, in poking around on some of the on Electrek and Inside EVs, I did see a story about how both Lucid and Rivian are seeing like dramatically increased traffic in the last few weeks.
Yeah.
Which
everyone's reading Victoria Scott's piece about trading in your Tesla. Now is the time. A great piece by Victoria. Yeah. She's at it again.
Nice. I mean, I hope, like, the thing is, I think Lucids are actually really cool. And,
they're so cool.
And just from an engineering standpoint and everything that I've heard and read about them,
they look so wild on the road. They're like,
I mean, and I do see them around, like, I mean, for a while, there's been a number of them running around town here, and they're great looking cars, and it just seems like, man, it's like that is moving the game forward in a way that, like, Tesla is definitely not.
Yeah. I mean, Tesla's cars are also old.
Right.
And the tech is so old, but the Lucids, they're a car that you can see a mile away on the road, like, because they look so low and wide compared to everything else. Like, they're really striking, and like, performance is incredible. They're really cool. I like, there are probably 4 or 5 of them in Traverse City, and every time I see one, it's like, oh my God, like, it's like, that's kind of like the promise of the EV was like, oh, we're going to get all these like really long, low, like stylish cars, and like, never happened. But yeah, they're very special. Make it.
Well, and apparently they're fantastic to drive too. The way that people talk about them is that like they've really that it has like an old school feel to it. Where it's like it actually has like hydraulic brakes, and like the steering is like it's like maybe the same like whatever like the electronic steering, it's like the same supplier that they use for like the high end Porsches. So it's like you actually have like pretty good steering feel, whether that's real or simulated, but it feels natural is the point, and it doesn't feel like super synthetic, apparently. I'd love to have a go in one of those.
Yay!
I have no idea what that was for. I have no idea what that one's. I was not moving.
It's just celebrating the Lucid. Inside. And their SUV is coming too. Yeah.
Nice.
Big Lucid cheerleader. Anyway, that's all I got.
Lucid Gravity is the big one.
Is that the SUV?
Yeah,
that's coming. Yeah.
Mailbag.
What are your thoughts on when it's time to call it quits on putting money into an aging car to fix it versus cutting your losses and just getting a new one?
Jesus Christ.
This is, I think in both Peter and I's cases will be a place where our advice diverges from our actual practices in real life. But I would say, to me, you just keep the car on your property until you eventually get around fixing it.
Well, that's ultimately how that
shakes
you
out.
don't get rid of your old car. You just park it, and then
or you just leave it in North Carolina somewhere.
Yeah, just leave it in another state, or
leave it at a checkpoint.
But yeah, I feel like, with your daily driver, that's a math problem, and like one that like, I think you can, if you sit down soberly and think about like where your dollars are actually going month to month, like you have a pretty good idea. It's like everybody always thinks, I just put $800 into this car, so everything should be fixed. And I'm going to get some more miles out of it. That's such an individual, like it's so like case by case, but it's also like that is not a guarantee. And it's also like, in my experience, like a lot of times cars that like have a lot of needs that come up all at once are cars that were kind of neglected previously. And it's like just a lot of stuff comes due. And just because you fixed but like there are cars on Craigslist, there are cars abandoned in lots all over the country where it's like new, like you read the description and it's like, blown engine, new brakes, new suspension, new brake lines, new seats, new, it's like someone just spent a ton of money fixing the car and the transmission blew up or the engine blew up and it's a total loss. So, I think in most cases, if you can afford to buy a new or newer car, especially a car with a warranty, you're probably better off doing that. And I think like, I hate to say it because it's kind of wasteful or whatever, but it's like, if you're not, especially if you're not someone who likes to fix stuff themselves or like has like a garage and tools and all that stuff, I think like in most of those cases, it's like I said, you know, if you want to fix stuff or to learn to fix stuff on your own, like that is one thing. But like, yeah, if you can swing it and can afford to get something that's newer, more reliable / new and under warranty, then it almost always makes sense to do that. That's my advice. That's not what I do, but that's my advice.
Yeah. I mean, I would say sort of. I mean, the way that I would always rationalize keeping my dumb old car that I was pouring money into. I mean, let's say you know, if you buy a new car, you're going to be spending what, like $5,000 a year until that's paid off, you know?
Yeah.
On a car payment. Let's say you lease something, you get like a cheap lease, you know, it's like a, you know, $300 a month or, you know, $350 when you factor in like the money that you're putting down. Like you can do that kind of mental math of like, well, the cost of owning a car is, you know, if you do that lease model, which lots of people do, you know, it's just like they just factor it into their, you know, it's like, yeah, you pay X amount of money a month towards your rent, and then you pay, you know, $350, $400 towards your car payment. That's just a thing that an expense that you always have. So yeah, in either of those cases, like you're spending thousands of dollars every year for the privilege of driving. That's not counting, you know, insurance and gas and whatever else. Like I would kind of do that mental math and kind of put that on one hand, and then think on the other hand, it was like, well, how much money am I putting into this car this year? You know, it's like, did I do brakes this year? Did I have to, you know, replace this or that or whatever? And especially with like a higher mileage, older car, there's always going to be stuff. There's always going to be something, you know, you're going to be spending, you know, you might have to put a couple $1,000s into it, you know, in a given year. And some, like, you know, and most of that is just going to be, I mean, there's always wear items. There's always consumables, you know, there's tires, there's brakes, as your car gets older, there's, you know, there's like, oh, you need to do a, you know, transmission fluid or differential. So, you know, all that kind of, you know, just like a million things that should be done, and that if you want to keep a car on the road, you're going to have to do over the long haul. And it's just like, and that's, you either do that yourself or you pay somebody else to do it, and it's not cheap. But it might still be cheaper. It might still be cheaper than having a car payment or paying a lease. I mean, the complicating factor is that, like, well, with that new car, after 4 or 5 years, or, you know, 7 or 8, you know, if you do your 84-month note, then, you know, ideally you're going to have some time at the end of that where you'll be able to drive for free, right? You'll have that grace period where you no longer have a car payment, and you also don't have any major maintenance costs as well. And that might last a few years. And then you're going to have to start putting money into that car too, right? Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the thing is, like, I would say that in so many cases, it's maybe worth it to just kind of like to keep, I mean, even though it feels like you're throwing money down a hole, it might still be cheaper. You know, I mean, there are a handful of kind of cases where it's like, all right, this car is over, right? One of those like as in the case of the Saab SPG that's just a few feet from where I'm sitting right now, is rust. If the car has rusted to the point where it's just literally no longer safe on the road, then it's time. It's time to either find your buddy to exactly
pan
right
swap.
to the mythical pan swap. Yeah, you just take it in. They just do that, or you just have it taken to the wrecking yard.
I would say though that there are a couple like complicating factors. So I would say in the past the math was different because there were a lot of cheap-ish cars available. Like you could go buy a car to get around in for a couple years for $2,500, and then there's a lot of room above you to cover like expenses of fixing things here and there. But in today's market, the used car, that's so hard to find a cheap used car, and so many used cars are like comparable-ish in cost to something new or newer. So like your headroom, between like the purchase price and the repairs goes down. And then I would also say too, like, the other thing is like the mental cost of like having a car that's always breaking, and is it going to leave you stranded, or is it going to be out of your hands for a week, and like, or is it going to be gone at a mechanic's and you don't know how much it's going to cost, and then it's going to come back and you're like, it's $2,500 or whatever, and like that is like a lot of anguish and stress.
Exactly. And do you have the capacity to absorb that? Do you have like a cushion? Just and like so many of these things are just like it really is up to the individual case of who you are, what you need a car for. Are you just using do you rely on your car to get to work every single day, right? Or versus, do you have options? Can you go a few days with, does it, you can get by without a car for a week if you need to.
Do you rely on your car for more than just transportation is also crucial. Sometimes your Honda Accord has like $2,000 of repairs it needs and 240,000 miles on it, and you're like, what do I do? In my case.
Yeah, I think like that's another thing too, is like the big question, or like this thing like being so case by case, is like that is why it is so important to buy a car that a lot about the service history. So don't buy a car from a buy here pay here lot. Don't buy a car from a stranger on Marketplace unless they have like a huge book of receipts of every oil change and tire. It's like it takes a long time to find cars with that kind of history, but like that will save you every time. Is knowing that a car has had all the maintenance done and had like, because cars, like modern cars, will last forever. They will last for 20 years and 500,000 miles if they're maintained halfway properly, and like like that, you have to find cars that have been maintained. And I think like doing that and spending the $150, if you're going to spend $5,000 on a car or whatever, spending $150 to have like a qualified mechanic look it over, put it on a lift, and like give you a list of things that are wrong with it, and B, like things that you should be concerned about going forward. Like that's the real answer to this question, is like, don't get into that situation in the first place where you have an unknown car with a bunch of unknown needs that you're like, okay, if I put $500 into it, am I going to be putting $500 into it in 2 months or 3 months or whatever? if you get a car, like I said, that you know the history, you have a pretty good idea of what services are needed coming up, and then you'll also have a pretty good idea from your pre-purchase inspection of like what big problems are like lurking out there waiting for you. Mm-hmm. So like that's the real answer to that is like, you know, do your homework on the front end.
Yeah. And the thing is, and like, I mean, I'm just realizing like all of that stuff that I was just saying about like doing that kind of mental math and ways of rationalizing keeping an older car on the road. I mean, the thing is like this was my MO for decades, right? I mean, I just drove beater shit Same. Boxes, right? I did it. Well, and also because like I like cool old cars, mm-hmm. you know, and it's like, and not cars that are cool to other people, just like cars that are weird and cool to me. And so they're also cheap, right? Yeah. Or at least, you know, at the time. So, I mean, I just had this string of like, you know, $2,500 car. I mean, for the longest time, that was like, I never spent more than $2,500 on a fucking car. Yeah. And,
literally I can fix her.
Yeah. Well, but the thing is like, it got to a point, and the thing is like that served me well for a long time. You know, I drove that SPG into the ground, and then like I kind of had this series of cars afterwards where some of them were great, some of them were cool, you know, and but you know, each of them kind of developed. Just had, I mean, it was just like that thing of just the mental, I mean, the thing that you're talking about, Rory, that kind of, that bandwidth that it takes up in your brain of just mm-hmm. always having to deal with shit. And I just got to a point where I was just so fed up. And after buying like, you know, like having some bad luck, having some catastrophic failures, having you know, and then like having kind of like a lemon car, just realizing like, I'm fucking over this, man. I'm tired. I don't, it's like, I'm fucking done. I'm out. And the thing that finally compelled me to buy a new car was just that frustration and getting to that point, and then like, and my initial thing was just like, all right, I'll just buy like a grown up used car, you know, like a, you know, late model, off lease, whatever. And this was mid-pandemic, you know, and so I was looking at like, I was thinking, well, you know, I love my big Saab wagons, and I was thinking like, oh, maybe I'll get one of those Buick. What are those things called? The Regal Tour X, that Buick mm-hmm. wagon that they're that are, you know, like they're Opals, you know, they're European GM cars, and I was looking at those, and like for like even one that was like, you know, 3 years old with like 30 or 40,000 miles on it, like they were like $30,000+, you know? Yeah. And it's like, well, I'm not paying that for a fucking used car, you know? And that's when you know, and that's when I finally, kind of drove, like, you know, I had the light bulb moment of like, oh, maybe one of those Hyundai N cars. So that's how I got there. But, And I got to say, I mean, with the notable exception of a you know, one episode that really fucking pissed me off with that car, you know, I've enjoyed not having to think about it. You know, the fact that it just like, it just goes, and yeah, I don't have to, other than changing the oil or whatever. There's not things failing on it left and right. There's not always a list of, you know,
like my life.
So it really is. I mean, it's just like, what is your it depends so much on just like, what is your financial situation? What are you capable of handling money wise? And just like, what is your, what, I mean, if you definitely need a fucking car to rely on every single day, and that's there's no wiggle room there, then you should bite the bullet and spend the money and get the get the
move to a bikeable city.
Well, I mean, that's not always an option for
almost never an
people.
option. But
keep the dream alive.
Yeah.
Dream that beautiful dream. Get a little stay tired for the nice people at home.
Stay tired, friends.
Stay tired.
Stay tired out there. We'll be back with more.